Hello, everyone. We are your landlords, flooding out and tapping out so that you don't have to with the occasional screw. My name is Graham. I go by Hamhawks42 on the internet, and I'm joined by the one and only Astralsflame. Astros, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Ham. It's good to be back in the real estate office that we do love to call home, especially
Mm.
after all the traveling and things that have just been going on in the busyness of life. I know you are now like 24/7 horror streamer pro here, Ham Hawks, bringing in.
You know, it's true. I've been bitten by the bug, as it were, and by the bug I mean a decrepit mental patient coming out of a wheelchair. That did actually happen last night, as of this recording on stream. Clips available for that. Anyway, but yes, so no, I have done my first horror stream. It actually went really, really well, despite the fact that I don't handle horror well. Actually, perhaps because I don't handle horror well, the stream was a good time. But yeah, so who knows? We may be doing more of those in the future. It was fun. So yeah, yeah, and thank you for putting me up to that, man. I do appreciate it.
Happy to do so. Happy to do so. But yeah,
All
I
right.
know we're not talking horror today, but we are talking something a little bit
No.
outside the scope of Magic the Gathering in universes beyond. What is
Hmm.
Universes Beyond? How does it impact the game? And is it good or bad? And what are some of the different ways that Universes Beyond exists? Like Ham, can you explain to us what is Universes Beyond?
Absolutely. So, Universes Beyond is the umbrella term that is used anytime an outside third party IP is introduced into Magic the Gathering. It started with the Walking Dead Secret Lair, which was not received particularly well from the community. And it was interesting to see how it's evolved since then, because now we have things like the Doctor Who precons. We had the Warhammer 40K precons last year. We have we also have in booster tie-ins with the upcoming Jurassic Park themed cards that are going to be appearing in boosters of Ixalan. And these products and these initiatives are ways for Wizards to get access to other properties, inject them into Magic, and ultimately try to drive sales through engagement and excitement of those fandoms. Oh, and of course, there was Lord of the Rings recently. No big deal. The entire draftable modern legal set of Lord of the Rings,
Yes.
which I gotta say actually was just a great set,
Yeah.
and it was really well implemented, and I think that's one of the key pieces. Card like the Walking Dead Secret Lair was clearly very quickly made. It was only, I believe, what, 5 cards. They were
Yeah.
all unique in-universe versions of these characters, or not outside universe, third-party creations, and they were clearly designed to implement the TV show variants of those characters with art that was kind of like stylized. I don't believe they were painted. I think they were still shots that had maybe been put through some filters,
I
but
think
I
you're
also could be
right.
wrong. In any event, they looked like just screenshots from the show, basically. Maybe with a little stylization
Hmm.
on them, but in any event, um, to which actually, if those were painted, kudos.
Yeah, they
Whoever
looked
painted it did a
amazing.
phenomenal job. They look great. But that was a very hasty product, it seemed. Meanwhile, when you look at the Lord of the Rings set, when you look at the Warhammer 40K decks, when you look at the Doctor Who decks, the mechanics and the flavor is very much fitting with the IP, but we have a ton more cards and they all synergize together to make a very interesting play experience. And Lord of the Rings, I think, is one of the best examples of that, where it was literally a draftable set. And you could actually draft and play within the Lord of the Rings. And the mechanics, like Tempted by the Ring, the abundance of food tokens, the situations with the Nazgul and whatnot, like those wouldn't have worked outside of Lord of the Rings. Like you couldn't reskin that set as anything else. It was clearly designed from the ground up to be Lord of the Rings, and it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, I
So
absolutely agree
yeah,
on that. I think like when we talk Universes Beyond and the experience Universes Beyond, Lord of the Rings to me, that's the experience I want to have. Not to say like it has to
mhm.
be draftable, like that set was, or a full set, but the flavor matched to the IP. When I play the Lord of the Rings cards, I feel like I am playing Lord of the Rings, but in Magic the Gathering, and the two great loves I have are meshed together. And that is like the perfect balance, I think, for Universes Beyond to work.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And we're seeing that with the Doctor Who sets. I don't know if you've, I mean, well, no, I do know for a fact that you've seen plenty of people responding
Yeah,
to it on social media, just because if
it's
you're
Twitter.
following Magic, it's unavoidable right now. And a lot of people who are big fans of the show who also play Magic are really excited because their favorite characters are being represented in ways that fit. That seems to be the general consensus is, oh, this feels right. And that's so important. Like even the reprints that they selected, like however you feel about the card, farewell as, being flavored as the 10th Doctor's regeneration into the 11th Doctor is so, I don't know, it's poignant because that was a
It is.
moment for a lot of fans of the show where we had to say goodbye to one of our favorite characters. And so for that to be on a card named Farewell, like, yeah, that's a home run. And you see a ton of those throughout the course of this product. And so yeah, I think that's key. At the end of the day, the flavor needs to match the set. Meanwhile, we also have seen plenty of other products. The Arcane Secret Lair comes to mind, where it was just a secret layer. There were some reprints. They did a couple of reflavored reprints, and they were good cards. I mean, like you could get a Rhystic Study, for example. And like,
Yep.
okay, nobody's mad to get their hands on a Rhystic Study, but the image that it presented was of like the hex core from that show, which, the crossover between Arcane and Magic, I'm sure, was pretty sizable. But at the end of the day, it felt quick. Like you could feel it. It felt low effort. Like it was, and the image was just a screenshot from the show, which is a beautiful show. So okay, sure, but it didn't feel like care was put into it, and we, the consumers, could kind of tell. And so I don't know about you, but like I loved Arcane, I love Magic. I had zero interest in that secret layer.
I
Yeah.
actually bought that secret layer because of
Oh yeah.
Arcane and with whole the Rhystic Study. Like I like particular arts and I loved it being the hex core because like in the show, they study the hex core and everything, and it was like, all right, Rhystic
Hmm.
Study, like I get it. I did
Yeah.
appreciate the secret layer. I will agree, it did feel rushed in comparison to like some of the other sets. Like when we think 40K, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, like the commander sets and the depth and detail, the creation of those new cards, like those new cards couldn't have been created in the last like year. Like since Universes Beyond, those must have been in production to be thinking and thought through. And the
Yeah.
level of care and detail to bring that to life and the flavor that it's delivered like has been great. For Doctor Who, for example, I think they did fantastic with it, just like Lord of the Rings. Like the Doctors each have some unique abilities. There's some cool synergies and interactions. The interchange of the companions with different Doctors. A bunch of new cards that bring in some hilarious new things. Like what? There's that the flaming Tyrannosaurus,
Flaming
which is
Tyrannosaurus, yes.
displace dinosaurs, turning artifacts and historic permanents into
Hmm.
7/7s. Like a lot of cool cards for the first time that we've seen on the effects, and it's
Hmm.
great.
Well, and it's funny there too, you mentioned it because I watched Doctor Who for the ninth, 10th, and the start of the 11th Doctor's run. Those were the years when I was into it. And then I ended up just falling off just because things got busy and I had to make priorities as to where I spent my time. And Doctor Who just didn't make the cut. Nothing against it, just and on top of that, I hadn't been fully invested in Matt Smith, so it was pretty easy to just be like, you know what, my guys are gone. I can just kind of, but in any event, seeing some of these new cards, like when I saw what is it, dinosaurs on a spaceship?
Yeah, yeah, dinosaurs on a spaceship.
There's
Literally the
there's a
name.
card called Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Like the moment I looked at that, I was like, "What season of Doctor Who is this? How far do I need to catch up? I need to know the context here." And so all of a sudden, I'm now feeling compelled and interested in picking up where I left off with Doctor Who from the TV show. Like, it goes both ways. This is exposure and promotion back into that property. And I think, honestly, the connection between Magic and Doctor Who is kind of brilliant. And that's the case with a lot of the properties that they seem to have chosen. Right now, we have a lot of properties that that are going to engage the current fan base. And we've seen that. We have Jurassic Park. We have, people who are, well, I mean, our age, people in their 30s, or older, have associations with these properties that they're choosing right now. And I think that's great. Um, but I also see a huge potential for Universes Beyond, and I really hope Wizards taps into it. And I'm sure they're working on it now. I'd be shocked if they're not. And that is identifying IPs that are attractive to a younger audience. They did a Fortnite Secret Lair, for example, which honestly, it felt to me like that was just them acknowledging the memes more than anything. But
Great on that, yeah.
And but could you imagine if they did like a Minecraft secret layer or like a
Yeah,
full Minecraft set, where you could actually like, I don't know, some good mechanism for which to build things. Maybe it would function similar to Mutate or something like that, where you're crafting different materials. I don't know. You could do some interesting
yeah.
stuff within the Magic rule set in that universe. Well, that all of a sudden would get a lot of people who are now much younger than us maybe interested in Magic in a fundamental way. Just because it latches onto something that they already care about. And that is a potential that Universes Beyond has that none of the in-universe properties or any in-universe stories, any of the planes we have can do. You know, little Timmy who's 12 years old at the comic book shop, they don't care that we're going to Dusk Willow next year. Like that means nothing. Or like, oh, there's a murder mystery on Ravnica. What is Ravnica? But if you can say, oh, Minecraft Steve can be your commander, it's like, wait, what? And you could lead an army of illagers. What is this?
I could
All of a
just
sudden,
imagine like if Minecraft Steve was like a 5 color commander, and suddenly Minecraft Steve's partnering up with Sauron, the Lord of the Rings. But like
right?
it does open up whole new doors. I think you're right in that there is going to be a target to a younger audience because as the population of Magic grows, new blood is needed into Magic to keep the game alive and flowing and further expanding. And honestly, to me, Universes Beyond is the right way to get the game to grow. And they're
Mhm.
doing it the right way. We're not talking about sets that directly impact like standard Pioneer and mod. Well, I guess modern to an extent, but Standard and
Somewhat, yeah.
Pioneer, where there is like a large population of the player base,
Mhm.
but they are targeting the format that people enjoy right now, which is Commander and External. I do know there are impacts from the Universes Beyond cards touching into like Legacy. There is certain ones that make a direct impact, but that is also a very unique way for Legacy to become very fun, in my personal opinion. I won't delve on that soapbox for too long. Legacy is a very unique way to play Magic. You can play your 2/2 creature that's just going to end the game because you're playing spells that are so powerful. And, other
Mhm.
time the game ends on turn 0 or takes 30 turns. Whole other ball field. But the
Yeah,
way
very
that
different game.
the
Yep.
but the way that these sets are presented and brought in and bringing players in and introducing them to the multiplayer format of like Commander and their favorite IPs are coming with it. It's fantastic. Like to say, I know Magic the Gathering, as you said, we've had the secret lair Fortnite, but like I think Magic has taken a very strong lesson from what Fortnite has done because that's how Fortnite engages with the player base, right? They bring in
Mhm.
skins. Like what got me to play Fortnite was Goku. Goku in Fortnite. I
Same
was
here,
like,
actually.
yeah,
Yeah, same here. I actually downloaded Fortnite for the very first time, because as a streamer, I was given the Dragon Ball Z thing like for free as
yep.
part of a like promotional thing, and I was like, sure, I'll give it a try. Why not? And sure, day one, before I even set into a battleground, I set my character as Vegeta, and to this day, I still log in from time to time, and it's Vegeta all day, every time, and yeah, and it's a fun twist. Actually, Fortnite's an interesting example too, because you're
Mhm.
right. It is Fortnite is a game system that has its own characters and has some of its own lore, but at the end of the day, it is a game system that people can bring their other stuff into. And yeah, when I'm Vegeta looking down a sniper rifle at Rick Sanchez, yeah, it's kind of silly when you really stop to think about it. But at the end of the day, it's fun. And I think Magic has the exact same thing going for
Yep.
it. The mechanics of the game are phenomenal. The core game system of Magic the Gathering is the reason it has lasted for 30 years.
Mhm.
I mean, zero disrespect on anyone who has worked on the creative team, crafting the story, and all that jazz, because it is awesome in its own right. But if the game was not just so freaking good and so rich and deep, we wouldn't be as invested in it. Like we wouldn't be spending all of our mental cycles thinking about it. We wouldn't be dreaming about what decks to make. Or is that just me? In
No,
any
I
event,
do it too. I do it too.
right? Like, it has become a lifestyle because the depth that you can dive into it is so deep and so rich, and that comes from the mechanics. And so I actually really like Universes Beyond because now in a couple years I'm going to be able to play a Sephiroth deck, and I'm
Yeah.
going to be able to play with Final Fantasy stuff, crewing chocobos or whatever. Um, and I love that. I think that's super cool because that is a world, that's a universe that I grew up in and played a ton, when I was little. And being able to revisit that in this card game is great. And if other people are interested in Final Fantasy and all the Final Fantasy card games that they've tried making haven't quite had the staying power of Magic, well, all of a sudden, now it can just be Magic. And I think that's actually really cool. Yeah,
Magic
I love
is
it.
a gathering, and I think they're embracing another way of the gathering. It's the gathering of IPs,
I
for lack of
suppose.
a
Yes.
way. But honestly, though, like some of my friends who have like kind of tinkered with Magic or like played Magic, they didn't really stay in. But I've had a few friends over the last year get more into Magic because of the IPs.
Mhm.
Some of my cosplay friends that I go to conventions with, they're like, "Yeah, we bought this because it was 40K." And like when I was at a convention earlier this year, we like jammed so many games of Commander, and they were just enjoying their 40K decks because they got to play as like the Tyrannid, the Necrons. Oh, another group of friends got in because Lord of the Rings, so we were jamming it with like
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings stuff, and it's just that's amazing to me that the player base is expanding because their favorite stuff is now being in. And once they're in the Magic, then they can start seeing the other lore and other aspects and other cards and
Exactly.
getting further
Yep.
in. And I think it's just it's like a transitional period in a way. You know, a player comes in because of a different IP, but then they stay because the game is so fun. And then as they see the game is fun, the game has its own lore going on. So you kind of have like a two system layer, right? You get in
Mhm.
because of one IP, and you're brought in and stay in because of the game mechanics and the other lore, and it meshes all amazing together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and also, I mean, we see that in the way that people engage with the game right now. One of the things I find really fascinating, if you go to the official Magic YouTube channel, there are a number of videos, and whenever they do like a weekly MTG stream where they are showing off new cards, they will get millions of views. And like, I'm not kidding. Like, it's massive, like hundreds of thousands within the first few hours. Like it's everybody's there. It's a huge hit. But in the most recent with Wilds of Eldraine, they did audio book style productions of the
Mm.
story, which were great. It was really cool to see that because it was like, okay, I'm a busy person like many people. Sitting down to actually read the articles is something that it takes a lot of time and it can be frustrating or difficult to work into my schedule. So all of a sudden being able to just listen to it while I'm doing the dishes, while I'm driving somewhere, like that was nice. It made them much more digestible. It was 4 stories and they were like 40 minutes each or something like that. And they were well narrated. They had like background music and the whole shebang.
That's so
Beautifully
sick.
done. They were great. And they had, I mean, even a few weeks after the set launched, they had tens of thousands of views, like
Okay.
significantly fewer than just about everything else on that channel. Unfortunately, to the point where I would be shocked if they do them again, which is really a bummer. But that's kind of, and we also see it too. I've heard other content creators say like, I love the Magic story, but every time I do any kind of video or stream talking about it, I get a tenth of my normal viewership.
Yeah.
You know, it happens. Like the Vorthos community is there and it is alive and well, but it's small. You know, it is not the core backbone. It is not the reason. It is not driving Wizards' profits, which is ultimately
Yeah.
their business. It's their big driving force, right? And so they're going to lean into what does. And the core mechanics of the game, prop it up, being able to bring in other IPs. Honestly, I think it's a net positive for the game. And I do think turning Magic the Gathering into Legos or Monopoly is not a terrible business model,
Secret
honestly.
lair monopoly. Let's go. Give me the money
I'm
back.
just I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I think all the legendary creatures should be the game pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the shoe would have to be the best one, right?
Naturally.
It's gonna be the shoe or the car. I don't know.
Yeah.
My older brother always wanted the car. He was
I
always
took
the
the
fun
car
one.
when I can, so I understand and respect it.
I get that. I get that. I was all over the place. I think the dog was the one I landed on most of the time. In any event, those could be your legendary creatures, and then the different, would the spaces be the lands?
I feel like they would,
In
yeah.
instance could be chance cards. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're
I like that. I can see that.
reprint pacifism as jail. It'd be doable anyway. Or banishing light maybe.
Vanish,
Anyway,
yeah.
in any event, you guys get the idea, right? Like so, but you could do that. You could absolutely do that. And Hasbro already owns Monopoly. There'd be no licensing fees. Just
It's true.
why not? It could be fun. So, and that's the end of the day. Is it fun? Magic is a game. Is this fun? Right now, what they're doing, is fun.
Yeah.
People are enjoying it. Let's hope that continues. Yeah.
Agree with
And
that.
the other great thing about Universes Beyond, if a property's coming out and you're not interested, it's
Yeah.
impacting. Most of these are generally impacting the casual formats. You've got Commander, and I mean you have Legacy and Vintage. But I think Wizards is creating designs that aren't necessarily impacting those sets for the most part.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't like, there's the upcoming Assassin's Creed, you know, crossover. I could not care less about that one, if I'm completely honest. If that's your jam, rock on. Like they're fun games. Cool. Enjoy it. Have fun. But that's one where it's like, I'm going to be able to pass on that one without any issue, unless there is a card in there that mechanically speaks to me, you know? And if there is, great. If not, cool. We're good.
I think you've got a great summary on that. You know, like it's great what's happening. There's great exposure, and if a product isn't for you, you don't have to buy it. You can skip it. But what do you think in the comments? Are universes beyond positive? Are they strong? What do you think? Are they good for the? Do you like how they're being done? Are they good overall? Let us know down below. And
Absolutely.
Ham, where can the fine people find you, my friend?
Absolutely. So I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/hamhawks42. I'm also on YouTube. I have a whole bunch of other stuff going on. If you actually check out my YouTube page, I have a link to all the other channels that I appear on regularly, including this one. So we'd appreciate, yeah, if you check that out. And Astros, how about you, man? Where can people find you out there on the interwebs?
Yeah, everyone, you can find me at Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at astralsflame. Doing Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday streams, sometimes on a Sunday. I will be off for the next couple weeks as I'll be traveling to Command Fest Orlando and MTG Summit, but I'll be back at the start of November with some fresh content and fresh brews as we head into Ixalan and more recordings. Yes. But yeah, you know, drop us a follow, get in on the action, stay updated on our new listings, and as always, everyone, until next time, we are your landlord.